Cybertruck. It's a bit of a controversial EV, to say the least. People definitely have their opinion, from how it looks to what it will really be like when these are on the road. And today we want to just cover the latest news on it, on the specific EV that has made a splash since its first announcement. And thank you for Jordan and Tollak for hopping on to go over these recent updates, a lot from the recent earnings call from Tesla as well. So how are y'all doing this evening?
Doing great. How are you, Tollak? It looks like you're in a Tesla, and I'm wearing a Tesla hat, so I think we're ready to talk about this.
Yep, I'm at a supercharger, and I'm actually doing a top balance 100%, so I got time to talk.
Wow. Well, I guess the year, let's paint a picture. The year is November 2019, and we are now sitting on the verge of November 2023. So 4 years after the Cybertruck was unveiled on that fateful day of cracked glass and such, and people being like, are you serious? Is that actually what it looks like? We are now looking at an actual delivery date, which is what? November?
Right, so 30th? Yeah, so
is that what yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's November 30th. I'm here on the, if you're tuning in online, you can see it on the official Cybertruck Twitter page, and you can see right here, this is the Cybertruck delivery event on November 30th of this year at Gigafactory in Texas, is what it says. You know, it's this poster. This seems to be the announcement. And we did, you know, have more confirmation from the actual earnings call that happened today. So yeah, what do y'all think? November is coming up.
It's about time. It's funny because a lot of people are like, well, there's no way it actually shows up in 2023. For anyone who's taking bets, I guess you're wrong if you bet against it. On the other side, though, what does this actually mean? We've seen delivery events with a very few amount of cars. So, yes, technically, they're going to deliver Cybertruck in 2023, which is kind of like delivering the Hummer in 2022, which was like a handful. So they technically did achieve their delivery expectation of we delivered. But there's no numbers attached to this. In fact, there's not even pricing attached to this. So a lot of people are still speculating, what are all the missing links? What is the missing information? Of course, we will report on it as it comes up. On one hand, I'm like, yay, a Cybertruck. But on the other hand, I'm like, boo, no pricing.
Yeah, I mean, they've noted that they had tremendous or enormous challenges in reaching volume production, right? So, but deliveries are still going to happen. Tollak, what do you think? I know that you really are read up on this. You're obviously in your Tesla, so you're calling in from a really relevant spot.
Well, you know, given that we have over a month until the deliveries, that gives them, you know, at least 4 to 5 weeks to crank out some trucks to put out there. So, you know, and with the Model 3, did they start? I think we started with 30 at the first Model 3 event. Was that correct, Jordan?
Something like that, small number.
Yeah, but that was like, you know, new cell, and you know, even though this is, you know, I can't remember. Can we confirm if it's the 4680 or the 2170 that's going to be here?
But 4680, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, on the investor call, they talked about how they are using they've switched to making the Cyber cell, which is 10% more than the Model Y, I believe, in capacity. So that would also explain why they went to the LFP Model Y instead of the 4680 Model Y. So my guess is I'm going to guess about 50 to 100 Cybertrucks at the event, but I would love to be pleasantly surprised of like a big old, like, here's like 250, but my guess is somewhere around 50 to 100 at the actual event at Giga.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the realistic number could be quite different from what we want. And Elon has said, you know, production will be a slow ramp. I mean, he's guessing it'll take roughly 18 months, which some people point out is over the course of 3 calendar years, which sounds worse than 18 months. Either way, even Elon has been quite intense on this quarterly update call about how, like, hey, FYI, this is a huge project and we are gonna face a lot of challenges. And if he's saying that with his optimistic timelines, I don't really know what to expect as far as the ramp up for this, because they've had to create so many new things and new tools just to make the Cybertruck. And as you point out, they've dug their own grave with this thing, so we'll see.
Right. Tollak, you were saying earlier that, yeah, they're going to ramp it up, right? 18 months after the start of production, and we'll kind of, I mean, like you're saying, Jordan, see how it goes. Of course, with a lot of the EV world, we're just kind of going to take it as it comes. One other thing that was confirmed on the call was the 800 volt architecture. So I want to talk about that too, because it was rumored that this was going to be the case. This has been a question of compatibility, not just with, Tesla EVs, but also other EVs that have different voltage and coming on to, especially when we're switching over to the NACS connectors and how this is all going to work together. So this was confirmed, and I will bring that up on the earnings sheet that you can see online on the Tesla investors website, of course. But what do y'all think about that? Were you totally expecting it? Was it just really not sure? What do you think?
I mean,
go ahead.
No, I think it makes sense. The higher the voltage, the better, especially with bigger battery packs. We know this is going to be a relatively heavy vehicle. I'm wondering how it'll compare to like the Hummer EV, because everyone knows that as over 9,000 pounds. And this is going to be 800, I think, between 800 and 900 volt architecture. And I'm glad to see that, because it needs all the help it can get to charge that pack. What's interesting is that it may charge faster on some CCS chargers than actual V3 superchargers, but as we know, it'll take full advantage of V4 superchargers. I can't wait to do a charging session on both just to compare.
Right.
Yeah. To check the CCS, we would probably need to make sure that the adapter can actually pass that full 800 amp over, or excuse me, 800 volt over to the truck, rather than it, limiting the station, because right now, a lot of the 800 volt cars, they're not going to be able to do 800 volt on the Tesla V3 superchargers. So we might have a cross, Cybertruck on a CCS might have a similar problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want to note here that they kind of have referenced cost for this, for the reasoning of the 800 volt architecture. So they say, for very heavy vehicles, a high voltage powertrain architecture brings notable cost savings, which is why Cybertruck will adopt the 800 volt architecture. And they also noted that their average vehicle cost was about $37,500. Sorry, I had to get that number out. And they continue to work to reduce the cost. So also, they're noting that this is a way to reduce costs. And we've seen Tesla take down the cost of their EVs pretty significantly in recent history. So they're still really making that effort. But like you said, Jordan, we don't really have pricing on this. But I don't know. What do you think? It's still pretty, a tremendous EV, right? Very heavy, larger, definitely has this look, the Hummer kind of parallel. So what are you thinking? Are they really going to be able to bring down that price?
I mean, on one hand, to their advantage, they do have a very simple body, and a lot of the cost with traditional auto manufacturers is kind of working the stamping of the metal and such. So the upfront cost of working with this steel is higher because they're trying to figure out how to even do it. I mean, they have like the biggest press in the world and all these things. But once that's figured out, the cost savings will kind of ramp up with production, because each vehicle down the line will be cheaper to cost than, let's say, an F-150 Lightning with a bit more complex stamping, or really the Hummer EV is very complex shapes. So I would assume that's where some of the savings comes in as well. We don't really know range or battery pack capacity. Like, all these things are future data points which we'll comment on later once it's public. I mean, I can't wait to tear down this thing, not like the Sandy Monroe tear down, but tear down the facts and figures once they're announced, because it'd be really interesting to compare on paper with Cybertruck, with the F-150 Lightning, Hummer EV, Rivian R1T, obviously, including the Max Pack and things like that. All those are now on the table. It's funny because Cybertruck was announced way back before any of those were out, and people thought, oh, it's coming first. Now it's turned out that it's come last. So there's a lot of pressure kind of on this, I think, because a lot of people are like, look at the competition. They're all pretty great. I mean, Hummer EV doesn't get that much hearsay. It's just not that common. It seems like It's more the Rivian versus F-150 for the utilitarian customers actually needing EV trucks. So this is the other kind of elephant in the room that hasn't really been in the room yet. It's finally coming. So all those factors are things we just don't know, and we don't know other things like, unless, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've confirmed or denied, vehicle to load capabilities, which I feel like it will have to do to really compete with the competition like the F-150 Lightning, especially if it's a similar price.
Well, especially against the Hummer, I'm hoping that the Cybertruck is going to be more efficient than the Hummer, because that thing is just ridiculous. All the angles and all the body parts you're mentioning with manufacturing. But what is also going to be very exciting to tear down the first time is seeing the charging curve of a Cybertruck on a V4 supercharger. And since we've just started seeing the beginning of the V4 superchargers in the United States, that's going to be an interesting parallel to see the V4 network grow with the Cybertruck ramp up.
Definitely will be interesting to see that grow, because I know we've seen bits and pieces of the V4 coming onto the public charging network, not fully V4 chargers yet, but yeah, an evolution hand in hand coming along. So the Cybertruck, is the elephant in the room that is making its way in. We'll see if it'll really stomp its way in, or maybe it'll be more of a, tiptoe in. We'll have to see. Like you said, the deliveries, it's more of like a binary, like a delivery will happen. We're not sure exactly how much, because of course we've seen that they face some difficulties along the way. So I'd love to hear in the comments, just because this has been kind of a controversial EV, what people think. Are they super excited? I know some people are on the edge of their seats waiting for the Cybertruck, because it's just kind of a weird Tesla truck that also has a lot of power and capability. So are y'all excited? I know, Tollak, you might want to make your way over to the event, which would be really cool, down to Texas.
Yeah, I'm definitely putting the word out there that I would love to be a +1 to this event. I don't have a reservation in. I do have it. One of my referrals I was able to put after I got my wall connector. I put in a cyber raffle. I was like, why not throw 500 credits at it before they raised it? So who knows? Maybe chance in vehicle wherever that I get a Cybertruck, but. If I don't get a +1, I still plan to head down that way, because I hear that even all the stuff surrounding the event, the event is only this long, whereas before the before and after parties, I hear, are also great to do. So I do want to be around there for that buzz. But if you do have a +1 that can send my way, I'd love to be there to cover the Cybertruck event as well.
Yeah, it should be wild. I mean, it's kind of magnetic in the area alone. Like, a lot of stuff happens, including the Cyber Rodeo. Like, anyone who attended, awesome. Anyone who didn't, still a lot of things happening in the area. But back to your point, Francie, I'd be interested to see everyone's thoughts in the comments, because I feel like the public reaction to the Cybertruck is really pretty parallel with the public reaction of Elon. People either love or hate him. I haven't really met many people on the fence about either of those two subjects. If you're on the fence, let us know and why and how you've managed to stay there, unless you just ignore all Tesla news, which that's fine. I'm just beyond curious. I have been for 4 years. I mean, I remember clearly I had a watch party for the Cybertruck unveiling, and as a joke, I drew like angles on a paper, and I was like, "This is what it looked like," and then it actually did, and I won some competition that night, which was hilarious, because we all thought it was going to look like something else. But here we are, c'est la vie. It's ugly and cool and epic, and I don't know. I want to drive one. I don't think I could own one. Yeah, I'm waiting for the Roadster, but will that ever come? It's been 6 years. Who knows?
I think it's going to be like a green eggs and ham thing. Like, a lot of people that were skeptics that get into a Model S or Model Y, and as soon as you punch that pedal, they go, "Oh, so we may have some of that with the truck world as well." Like, they can get over the looks once they see what the truck can do.
Mm-hmm. Tesla definitely has been able to impress when you get folks behind the wheel and feel how really powerful and nice the driving experience is, from the semis to the Model 3s and everything in between. So, it's great. It's always cool to hear the Tesla news. Of course, it is polarizing sometimes, but I bet there are those folks that are neutral there. But either way, it's a cool instance of this technological advancement in the EV world.
Yeah, and here's another point. I mean, Tesla, as we all know, just rolled out doing wraps from Tesla, and I really wonder if that was a component of this ordering process. It is such an easy vehicle to wrap. I wonder if they'll actually like have wrap offerings from the factory, because it's not going to really be painted unless they do some sort of anodized process where it's like matte black, which would be so cool. I think matte black Cybertruck would be the move, full on Batman spec. But yeah, I wonder what options Tesla's going to have for this. You know, there's not a ton of options with their other cars, but maybe they'll have different wheels, maybe colors, maybe wraps. There's a whole lot that I am just really curious about. And we'll see again what the specs are. It could be kind of all over the place. And there's going to be the people who are like the diehard fan that are like, perfect, I want it. And there's going to be everyone else who's like, really? Compared to all these other trucks, this is where it falls short. But it's usually a bigger picture thing that we have to focus on. Of course, when we review it, I wonder what the build quality is going to be like. Infamously, all their other models, as they've rolled out, have also been a ramp up with build quality. Nowadays, you order a Tesla, it is pretty good. But our friend Colton with Out of Spec Detailing, shameless plug, go check out that channel. He's pointed out, you know, even today, there's still some issues with build quality, but was this going to have that same challenge? Because it is steel, like they're not working with paint, which is famously not great quality, or the same body panels types as the other vehicles have. So will it just roll off the factory flawlessly? I don't know. Will it have a rattly interior and a perfect exterior? I don't know. All answers to have in the coming months.
Definitely. Some of the rumors we've gotten some answers to. 800 volt architecture deliveries are happening in November. We're not sure of a lot of the other specs, so a lot of information is still incoming, and soon I'm sure one of us will be behind the wheel of one of these Cybertrucks manifesting it, right?
Let me at it. Track mode.
Yeah, so we'll keep up to date with the Cybertruck news. We haven't covered a lot of it lately, but a lot of this came out. Of course, there's other info in the earnings call that you might be interested in, and we'll link it along with Out of Spec Details, which is a great channel we have here, and Colton is great. But yeah, thank you, Tollak and Jordan, for hopping on to share a bit of Tesla news. Of course, let us know what you think in the comments, and if you're enjoying our conversations, like and subscribe. We're fun to hang out with on the internet. And of course, tune in next time to the Out of Spec podcast. We're really happy to have you here, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Cheers.